Is this thing on? Hello, and welcome back to Voice Podcast. Podcast by students, for students, about things that affect you guys. As you guys know, I'm Brian, and today we're going to be talking about oral hygiene. So, we have a couple of guests today. We have Olivia, Madison, and Azila. Olivia, how's it going?
It's going pretty good. You?
Not too bad. Off air, we were trying to talk about how the semester's going. Have you had any thoughts on this digital environment?
I think it's definitely been a lot of adapting to change this semester, but I think that it has some pros, being able to have a bit more time with doing our assignments, but definitely missing the in-person of getting to see everyone.
Yeah, that's, it's a problem, but I think we're making the best of it, right? Madison, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Well, it's been up and down year, week, I don't know, something. It's been a year, let's just say. So I was looking at online the other day, and someone was saying basically oh, I can't wait for 2020 to be over.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah. But I saw the person responded yo, do you think anything's going to instantly change when we get to 2021? The pandemic's not exactly just going to end. So, but I think it'll be a nice little break to just kind of mentally put this year behind us. So that's going to help a bit, I hope anyways.
Hopefully we get the vaccine soon. Things go back to a little bit more normal.
Most definitely.
Yeah.
And Azila, how are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. How about you?
I'm not sure if my answer's getting better or worse as we go through it. I think I'm doing all right. How's the school year been going for you?
Honestly, it's been up and down. Sometimes it's been good because I feel like I'm doing nothing, and then all at once I feel like I'm doing 5 things at once. And I think that's just my time management though, so can't really blame it on anything else.
Yeah, time management is definitely rough. Are you guys working right now while in school?
I'm not, no.
No?
I'm not either.
Oh, wow.
No.
See, I have been, and up until recently, I've been working a lot. I'm working more than once, 25, 30 plus hours a week. And then suddenly, because of it's a seasonal job, it kind of shifted back to 10, 12 hours a week. So having all this time taken up, now suddenly I have too much time, my procrastination has gone through the roof. I just do nothing. I'm instead of having to be in a rush to get everything done, oh, I have 2 weeks to do this. It's not a big deal. It's kind of browsing way too much time on social media, so I gotta
yeah, exactly.
Oh yeah, I don't even have a job and I find I'm still procrastinating. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's hard to stay motivated right now, right? I feel like being in the home environment and not being at school all the time, it's I'm in school, but you
don't feel like you're in the school zone anymore.
Yeah.
You feel like you're in the at-home relaxing zone, and you never really get out of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's dangerous.
Sorry,
what were you saying?
Sorry. I said I also live with my parents, so that can be distracting too. Yeah. So does Olivia.
Yeah, I feel that. I haven't lived with my parents for way longer than I want to admit right now. But I live with my girlfriend, and so I find the days that she doesn't go to work, it's hard because then it's oh, I want to hang out, I want to do things. And I just kind of I have to just kind of close the door and just put myself into that school zone. But it's hard. What can you do though? So to shift into what we were supposed to be talking about today, other than just the fun of school, oral hygiene. So this isn't something I had thought about really when it came kind of in regards to COVID. So how is your oral hygiene affected by the kind of current environment we're in? Olivia, you want to kick us off?
Yeah, so there's a lot of different ways that oral hygiene has really been affected with COVID. For one, people haven't been able to get out to the dentist's office as easily. People haven't been able to go out and get those regular checkups that they're looking to go and get. And so it's led to a lot of problems for people where they might have different oral hygiene issues that aren't getting diagnosed, that in the past they'd be able to catch them early, and now they're going and getting more advanced.
Yeah, and it's funny to jump in there. Actually, when I was researching this, because I did a quick Google search, and all of the headlines were mask mouth, mask mouth, mask mouth. And I was It was funny because I have actually never heard of that or really anyone complain about that. But apparently, mask mouth happens from wearing a mask all the time, obviously to prevent the spread of COVID. And basically what happens when you're wearing your mask, this increases the dryness of your mouth because often when people wear masks, because it's so harder to breathe, they often breathe through your mouth rather than your nose. Okay. And because of this, it causes that dryness in your mouth, which increases the bacteria in your mouth because of the lack of saliva. So the saliva usually, when we're normally drinking and we aren't breathing in that dry air, it's there to help kill the bacteria. It helps neutralize acid in your mouth. And it actually cleanses your teeth even. So, and if you also think about it, when we're out for long periods of time and we have masks on, we're not really taking them off. So we're also not drinking water, right? So when we're not drinking that water, how do we get that, or that keep the saliva going in our mouth, right? It's causing that dehydration. And then also like adding on to that, we have, like during COVID, we've been drinking more coffee and more alcohol, like exactly. Yeah. And let's add that in too, like it causes that dehydration in your mouth, which leads to like tooth decay, gum line receding, all stuff like that. And then I've also did some research, and apparently the dentists are seeing when people are going in, if they're really experiencing like wearing masks a lot with the dry mouth, they're seeing like cavities in people who really haven't had cavities before, and a receding gum line in people that have had healthy gums their whole life. So I found that interesting.
Yeah, like great research there. You touched on a lot of things I think we're gonna have to come back to, because you just gave us a lot of information. But like, no, that's absolutely fascinating. Like, I never would have thought that the whole like having the mask on would make your mouth drier, but it actually makes a lot of sense. And what you're saying, like you're drinking less water. Like I was just serving in a restaurant, and like normally, you get back to the back area, you have a drink of water or something like that. Whereas now you're not really gonna take as much time to do that, because you have to like wash your hands, you do all these other little things. So that's kind of
exactly. Yeah, it's funny. I worked in the healthcare environment all summer, and I didn't really. I mean, I was trying to drink enough water. I didn't really notice it, but I guess it probably depends on the person.
Oh, most definitely.
Yeah.
So, Zia, do you have any thoughts on what we just talked about, or?
Not like really, other than the fact that I actually have experienced it.
Okay.
Especially like during clinical, like when we were at the hospital and stuff, like I found that just wearing the mask all day, like I was getting like sweaty and hot, and then I was like, why does it smell? And then I realized it's because you have the mask on all day. So I can't imagine like for people that actually work like 8 hours a day to have that on all day,
Yeah, I could definitely see that being an issue. I was reading something the other day too about how this time of season, this part of the year, there's going to be a whole bunch of other issues that are presented, because you go outside and now the area on the outside of your mask is going to be colder than the interior. So it's going to be you're going to basically be getting your mask wet, which is going to get soggy, and then it's not going to be able to actually provoke any particles. So they're now they're recommending to use cloth masks when you're outside, and to have like 3 or 4 of them with you if you're going to be outside for an extended period of time, because if it gets wet, it's useless. So it's just
interesting.
Yeah, I know. It's just a whole bunch of new fun things to deal with for the winter.
Oh,
sure.
I'm just going to stay inside. I'm going to go outside occasionally. I'm going to go to work, and I'm going to sit at home and play video games and scroll way too much social media. It's just easier.
Exactly.
I feel like during the winter, I'm going to love having my mask on whenever it's cold. It's almost like having a scarf pulled up against your
right?
Yeah. It's supposed to be a cold winter too, so.
Oh.
Yeah, I know, right? So, okay, so we talked about some of these issues that could be presented from, or could be caused by the mask mouth and oral hygiene issues in general. Nazila, do you have any thoughts on how to mitigate some of these problems?
So I actually researched this quite a bit, and there's actually like a lot of preventative measures that we can take. Like to mitigate the risk, mainly the best way is to maintain good oral hygiene.
Okay.
So a lot of the ways that we can do this is obviously to brush your teeth using a fluoride toothpaste at least twice a day. using a soft brittle brush, brushing for 2 minutes, and then remembering to brush the outside, inside surfaces, and then as well as your tongue, which is a big thing that I think a lot of people like forget to do. Practicing good technique, so holding your brush at a 45-degree angle, aiming the brush towards where the tooth meets your gum, and then gently brushing in circular motions. And then obviously you don't want to brush too hard or anything because you don't want to damage your gums either. And then as for your toothbrush, you want to make sure to replace that like at least every 3 months or sooner if the bristles are like splayed or worn out. Other ways that you can have good oral hygiene is to floss at least once a day. And then making sure not to do it too hard because to reduce you don't want to like cause friction or anything. Seeing your dentist, having your teeth cleaned by dental professionals at least every 6 months, which is like, it's hard now with COVID because I guess it's probably harder to get appointments and stuff, but you should be seeing your dentist at least twice a year. And then if you smoke, that it actually leads to gum disease. So it's best to avoid tobacco products. And then having a less sugary diet because sugar is known to cause like damage to your teeth. Using mouthwash, using fluoride in your mouthwash to remove food particles. And then if you do have problems and stuff, making sure to contact your dentist as soon as like an oral health problem arises. And then for people that have like diabetes or anything, you have to work harder to maintain the control of the disease because it includes gum disease. So making sure to reduce your sugar intake and stuff. And then a big one is obviously to drink more water. And then like for students, I think like we're always drinking coffee and stuff. So just making sure to like rinse your mouth after, brush your teeth, which I find like a lot of people will forget. Yeah. Those are some of the big things that I was covering. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a tremendous list. Like, and it seems like a lot of them are kind of the normal oral hygiene ones, just with a little bit more focus on the COVID stuff. I didn't know that there was an increased risk of gum disease with diabetes. That's actually really interesting. Do you guys like offhand? You guys know why that is, or? Sorry, I was putting this on the spot. I just kind of fascinating things I wanted to know.
I didn't look too much into it, but that was one of the things that came. Yeah.
No, it's all good. That's really interesting. Madison, Olivia, you guys anything you want to add to that list? It's pretty comprehensive. So,
I think to mitigate these issues specifically, based on like the mask mouth type thing, definitely like I know Nazila touched on drinking, making sure you're getting that water into you and cutting down on your alcohol and coffee use. Other than that, I mean, like humidifiers are also great for if you're feeling dry. She touched on a lot.
Y'all did some really good research here. I'm like incredibly impressed, to be honest. So yeah, if we kind of say the same things a couple times, that just means people are hearing some really good information. That's all good.
Okay.
So the humidifier is an interesting one, though. Like I consider that kind of like a bit of a preventative issue. Olivia, do you have any,
for sure.
Yeah, Olivia, do you have any other kind of preventative ideas you have for stopping mask mouth, I guess?
I think definitely the ones that we touched on, keeping yourself hydrating, keeping it humidified. I think that those are the biggest parts, just because it really is about having that dry mouth, and that goes and leads to so many more ways of the bacteria growing in your mouth and going and spreading. And so I think just really, really focus on making sure that you get that proper hydration all the ways throughout the day, making sure to take those times throughout the day to go and drink your water. And so maybe even setting reminders on your phone, because we might not be thinking about it as much with our masks on now. Like a lot of people are just forgetting about it. Where usually without the masks on, you could just grab your water and drink it easily. Now it's a whole ordeal just to go and take a sip of water. But I think it's really important for people to just focus on remembering that, keeping a bottle of water with them during the day. If you have an Apple Watch or a phone on you or something, going and setting reminders on it just to go and buzz and say to drink your water and things like that. I think that people don't think about how much of a difference it makes, but that is really just the biggest thing in going and helping to prevent, on top of course, brushing your teeth, proper oral hygiene like that. But
it's interesting that the water keeps coming up as a huge part of this, and it's not something I would have thought of. But I guess it makes a lot of sense in a lot of different ways.
Yeah.
Did you have any little tips or tricks on that one, Madison?
I think we've pretty much covered it all. I would say, yeah.
Hey, it's all good. You guys are throwing a lot of information here, so I really appreciate it.
It's like I'm trying to think as to what they missed. Yeah.
That's understandable. So, anyone who wants to answer this one, like, what are some long-term issues that could potentially present themselves from like this kind of dry mouth, mask mouth issue, or just like oral hygiene issues as a whole?
Yeah, so one of the big things that comes from improper oral hygiene, and then the mask mouth goes and just increases this, and we've been seeing a lot more of it, is cavities and gingivitis. So that's like gum infection. So whenever you get the plaque building up on your teeth and your gums, it can go and make your gums basically become inflamed and red. And as this progresses into periodontitis, which is basically just a big word meaning an infection in your gums, and it can go and get very severe, and a lot of people don't think about it. They think, oh, like, I just have a little bit of plaque on my teeth, maybe I'll just have a cavity, but it can actually lead to some really serious infections that can lead to pain when you're chewing, bad breath, which nobody wants, and actually eventually it can lead to infections in your teeth, gums, and even into your jaw bones if it goes and spreads that way. So a lot of people who go and get very advanced forms of this, who spend a lot of time not doing proper oral hygiene, can go and lose their teeth as a very common symptom. So we have to be very diligent about this during COVID, because where some people might have had lapses in their oral hygiene in the past and it wasn't as bad, it's now made worse by the mask mouth and having it so dry in your mouth that the small lapses that you might have had in the past are now magnified. And you really have to be careful with that, because it can get worse a lot faster, especially with people not being able to visit the dentist as often.
For sure.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point. And like about not being able to see the dentist, I know myself personally, I was initially supposed to have an appointment in like May or June, of course, which is like right during the height when everything was locked down, and then got pushed back to August and be able to see him. And like, I thankfully kind of stayed on my regimen of trying to be, you know, the daily flossing, all those kind of things. But like, Madison, what are some issues that someone could have if they're not able to see the dentist for a long period of time?
I think that very much catching this gum disease early can be one of those big things that people miss out on, because the symptoms of it can be so small and you might just think that it's a sore tooth or a bit of sore gums. And so people will go and miss this early and it can develop quite quickly. But there's also just the general orthodontics types things where people can go and have impacted teeth where one tooth is growing into another. And if you don't catch it early, it can progress really fast. And the 6 months that your appointment gets delayed could be the difference between having a quick corrective procedure and needing more major operations being done to solve it. And so it's really hard for people, but I also sympathize for the dentist doing it, because since this is a disease that's spread through droplets, you can go and catch it so easily from the dentist. You picture when you go there and they've got drills and polishers and all that in your mouth and there's drops flying everywhere. Think about how scary that would be for them. All it takes is a drop of someone who's infected to go and get on them, and they could go and be infected. It's a very scary thing for them, but also it's very scary for the people who aren't going and getting the proper oral care that they need.
I've actually been to the dentist since, and they're actually not using all of their tools.
Oh,
because
really?
Yeah, to prevent the spread, because some of them like spraying some stuff and things like that. I don't know. I'm not a dentist. I don't know exactly what they're not using. However, I know they said like, oh, we can't use certain tools because of the virus going around right now.
That's interesting. So kind of things that would kind of kick up some spray and make it into an aerosol.
Yeah.
So I can't remember. Is there anything else you guys wanted to cover today? I think we've got some really good information out there. Nazia, is there any kind of little thoughts you had that we haven't possibly touched on yet?
The only other thing that I think that I did look into was like restorative measures.
Okay, cool.
So this was like, because we went over preventative measures before. Restorative measures are like, so when you already have like a problem like with your teeth and your gums, then you would go and see the dentist. And a lot of the common things that they would do are like tooth filling, dental crowns, veneers, bridges, And I don't know, do you want me to go into that, or I don't
Absolutely.
know.
Hey, more information is always better at this point.
Like, I'm not a dentist, but I mean, these are like some of the restorative measures if you did have a problem. So why these are done are a lot of people, like, if they have like empty spaces in their mouth, it helps keep their teeth properly aligned. If they want to get like teeth replaced, and if they have any like just like appearance problems or self-esteem issues, or like just like if they have cavities and plaque buildup, then they would go and get these done. So tooth filling, that's when like the dentist removes the decay from your tooth and fills it up with like materials from porcelain, silver, or gold. They use tooth fillings to repair broken or cracked teeth if the hole's not too big. And then if the dentist believes that the tooth is not able to hold the actual filling, then they can also do a crown. And then dental crowns are like just basically tooth-shaped caps that are placed over your tooth, and then it protects it from like damage and infection. And they can be used to restore the size and the shape of the tooth while removing its appearance. And then some dental crowns are made from different materials as well, so they can be metal, ceramic, stainless steel, porcelain, or more. And then something else that can be done are dental bridges, and that's basically like covering like the gap when there's a missing teeth. And then the bridge has a crown on each end, and then has an anchor with an artificial tooth or teeth connecting the crowns and filling the space. And then a bridge can help keep your teeth from moving out of one place. And then once it's placed, it works just like your natural teeth. And then lastly, like, people can get dental implants, and that's popular when people are replacing missing teeth. It requires like using titanium posts to the jaw with an artificial tooth screwed to the top of it. Implants are considered the closest thing to natural teeth because the titanium posts act as tooth roots and stimulate bone growth. And then, so tips for taking care of when you actually have dentistry work would just obviously to be brushing your teeth. Using electric toothbrushes can help remove the plaque better. Making sure to floss around your teeth, around your implants, crowns, and bridges. Trying not to chew on like hard or sticky foods, as they can like damage your crowns and stuff. And then using an antibacterial mouthwash to help fight the bacteria. Sorry, that was a mouthful, but yeah.
Well, I understand. Now, that's the thing, that list right there, I think is one of those good things to know, because like with everything else going around right now, I feel like it'd be kind of easy to not think about your oral hygiene and not do these little things. And it seems to be that, like, well, drinking water, as we've highlighted a couple of times, is really important to prevent this mask mouth and the creation of bacteria. And just take care of your teeth, people. Like, come on, this is a basic thing, but I know a lot of us don't do it enough. Like, I've been guilty of this like some points in my life. But seriously, brush your teeth every day. Come on.
Exactly.
So, all right. Well, I appreciate you guys doing all that research and coming on here today. I think we gave everyone a really good idea of kind of some of the things to look out for and some ideas on how to prevent some of these issues. So, as always, we want you guys to follow us on YouTube at Voice Podcast, Instagram at the SA Voice Podcast, listen to us on SoundCloud, Spotify, Google Play, or Apple Podcasts. Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank you.